Hi, this clip is going to help you with writing your essay on the film Gallipoli. What we have in front of us here is a screenshot from the Schoology page which outlines the essay question. So let's go through this together now. The film Gallipoli is often shown to high school students studying Gallipoli. Is this an effective method of introducing the topic to Australian teenagers? Make sure you consider the historical accuracy of the film in your answer, as well as make reference to events in the film itself. Okay, so this seems like a simple question, but there's actually some important key points to this essay question that you need to think about. The first thing you should always do when you get an essay question is underline your key words. This will tell you what you will be writing about. So our key words in this is the film Gallipoli is often shown to high school students studying Gallipoli. Is this an effective method of introducing the topic to Australian teenagers? So they're our key words in the question itself. Now, the second part of this essay question is actually telling us how we need to do it. So we need to look for the verbs that are telling us what we need to do. So we need to consider the historical accuracy of the film in our answer, as well as make reference to events in the film itself. So we should also go back here and highlight some more keywords in the bit of information that's telling us how to go about answering this question. So it's also important that we underline historical accuracy, historical accuracy and events in the film itself. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to make yourself a quick essay plan. So I like to do this through doing a brainstorm, and you can use Poplet to do that. So before I start my plan, what I like to do is have a look at the word length. So we've got 800 to 1,000 words. So I like to work it out to say to myself, my introduction is going to be about 200 words. My conclusion is going to be about 200 words, which is the size of a short paragraph. So that's 400 words. That leaves me with 600 words to get to my maximum. And if I make 3 paragraphs of 200 words each, I've got my 1,000 words. So now I have that plan. I now know that when I do my essay plan, I'm going to plan for 3 distinct paragraphs with something that I need to say to answer this question. So that's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to bring up our Poplet, my Poplet that I did before while I was thinking about this essay question. And I've got in the middle my question that I'm looking at. How is the film Gallipoli an effective way to introduce teenagers to Gallipoli? It's the idea I'm thinking of. So I've got these 3 ideas are going to become my 3 paragraphs. The first thing that I'd like to make mention of is the fact, this one here, that it's been such a long time since Gallipoli itself that no one is left to share their personal stories. So the film's a way of reaching a new generation. So I can talk a lot in there about how no one's left and about when our last Anzac died and all of that sort of thing. So the next point that I've got on my Poplet, if you can look over here, is about the historical accuracy. So I'm going to have a paragraph about my historical accuracy. So I've got it's mostly historically accurate, and I'm going to give examples from the film that match the letters and the diaries from Gallipoli. And if you're having trouble finding some of those sources, those primary sources, there's a link in Schoology under the Gallipoli folder that actually will take you to a website that has a whole heap of resources that you can use in your essay. So our third paragraph, we've got 2 there, and it's going to be quite simple to make them 200 words each. The last point that I want to make here is that we have all the information available to research, but the film helps teenagers to make connections and see it through the perspectives, spelling error there, perspectives of the people who were actually there. So I'm going to do a big paragraph about how film helps us connect, or helps teenagers in particular connect to events that are very foreign to them, because it's such a different world to the world that we have now. So once you've done your essay plan, you're up to doing your introduction. And this here is a document we looked at when we first wrote introductions, doing the Industrial Revolution. And so I want you to remember this. So a useful pattern to follow when drafting an introduction is as follows. So we have one or two sentences that set the context for the essay, and this is what we call the lead-in. We have a statement on the essay question which ties the whole essay together. This is our thesis statement. This is our opinion. And then we have one or two sentences in our introduction that show the reader how you're going to develop the statement in the body paragraphs. And this is the essay map. So our essay map should list in order the things we're going to talk about in our paragraphs, and then we follow through with that in the body of our essay. So I've got here, read through the following introduction on the reverse of this page, which I'm going to show you in the clip. We're going to underline the lead-in sentences, we're going to circle the thesis statement, and we're going to put an asterisk at the beginning of the essay map. And then we're going to look more closely at the essay map itself that's in the introduction. We're going to circle in a different colour each of the main arguments that will become the body paragraphs of our essay. And then when you draft your own introduction, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Do you have a clear lead-in sentence? Do you have a thesis statement? Remember, the thesis statement is simply a statement which tells the reader your opinion of the essay question, and it ties the whole essay together. I also want you to think about if you have an essay map. Have you told the reader what you're going to talk about? I'm going to include this page on drafting the conclusion, so you can come back and listen to this when you are up to the conclusion itself. So a lot of students hate writing the conclusion. They just want to finish. They're not sure what to put in it or how to write it in a different way than what you've already said. And a lot of the time students will just repeat their introduction. So if you'd like to use this pattern, it can help you. So what you need to do is summarise the main points of your body paragraph in a general way, or point by point for each of your paragraphs. Restate your point of view, and then round off your essay with a final comment or a statement. Some tips are: do not introduce any new points or examples. You only refer to what you've written. Do not include any detail. The place for details is in the body, in your paragraphs, in your body paragraphs. Do make sure that your conclusion matches up with your introduction, but try to avoid using the exact same words that you used. So if you're stuck for that and you're not sure how to do it, your vocabulary needs a little bit of help, have a look at a thesaurus and that will help you do that. Okay, so first of all, here's our essay, our example introduction. And the first thing that we need to do is underline our lead-in sentence. So that's pretty simple with this one. So the film Gallipoli is an extremely valuable tool for teaching teenagers about Gallipoli. I'm going to continue reading you this introduction, and then we're going to circle our thesis statement. Next year will be the centenary of Gallipoli. It will have been 100 years since so many young men followed the call of duty and enlisted to fight in a war unlike any that had come before. A century is a long time, and there are no Anzacs left to share their stories in person. No one is left to describe the heart-pounding fear they must have felt as they lurched over the top of the trenches to certain death. There is no one left to explain how it felt to watch your mates scream in agony, dying before your eyes, and be unable to help them. It's been 100 years since wives, girlfriends, and family members trembled as they opened the dreaded telegraph that would tell them the fate of the ones they held dear. Films like Gallipoli are a way to make sure that the connection to the men and women of our past is not lost, despite the century that it has passed. It is always possible to read letters and textbooks, to watch documentaries and research the historical facts. But without that connection to the individual stories, it is much harder to view the past through the perspectives of people of the time. Gallipoli, through being an historically accurate yet story-driven film, allows the 21st century teenager to emphasise with the men of Gallipoli and to understand some ideas that are foreign to them in modern society, as well as learn the historical facts. So the thesis statement, which we're going to circle, is from about here, to here. It tells the reader what my opinion is about the essay question. Next, we're going to put an asterisk at the beginning of where the essay map is. In this introduction, the essay map's extended throughout the essay. So you're probably going to say it's about here is the beginning of our essay map. The next thing that we were going to do was, in different colours, we're going to underline each of the topics that are going to become the main part of the paragraph. So the first paragraph that we're going to see that we can see is going to be in our essay from our map here is about a century being a long time ago and there's no Anzacs left to share their stories in person. That's what our first 200-word paragraph is going to be about. Our second one is about how the film Gallipoli helps teenagers to make connections so that you can read the letters, you can get the information, but you need that personal connection. So we're going to do that in a different colour, and this is this bit here. That's what our second paragraph is going to be about. So our third paragraph is down here, and it's going to be about Gallipoli being historically accurate. So there we go. So hopefully this little clip gives you some help if you get stuck writing an essay.